Jailani Abu Hassan was born in 1963 in Selangor, fondly referred to as Jai in the Malaysian art scene. He is one of the most established and renowned fine artists of the country. Jai is currently a lecturer in University Technology Mara Shah Alam, who is also the associate professor in the Faculty of Art and Design. He first obtained his bachelor's degree in fine art at the same institution in 1985, when it was then the Mara Institute of Technology. He then went on to continue his masters at the Slade School of Fine Art at the University College of London, and then continued to pursue his masters in fine art at the Pratt Institute in New York. Since then, he has been actively pursuing his passion in the Malaysian art scene while lecturing in UiTM. Jai's work is known to revolve around contemporary objects and issues and has been exhibited in private and public art spaces around the country as well as abroad. He has won awards as an artist, while some of his work are permanent collection in corporations and public art gallery like the Balai Seni Lukis Negara and Petronas Gallery.
When did you start drawing and when did you decide to take art?
Started to draw when I was small, like you guys. Everybody draw when they were small. But you will never take that seriously until you go to the art school. So back to your question, when is it started? So when I enrolled to the art school.
Do you think that art should be taught by an artist or an educator?
In order to teach art, to me, you have to be an artist. Because you're teaching something practical. How can you teach something that you don't practice? So that's a good combination. Becoming an artist and becoming an art teacher is an integral part in the career making.
How did you start drawing and when did it all started?
Well, yeah, like I said just now, everybody loves to draw. I was in standard 1. This is an interesting story. When I was in standard 1, like the rest of the standard 1 students, we play football, we run around the college, the school, we go to, we play galah panjang, all that. But there's one boy who never played with us. He used to sit in the class, he doodles. That wasn't me, this little boy. He doodles a lot. I wasn't interested in art or in drawing at all. I was like the rest of the boy playing football in the field. And then one day this boy came to me. I went to see that boy in the corner of the class. Everybody went out for recess. He was there, always there, doodle. So I was so curious and I asked him, what are you doing? And he said, I'm drawing. So I looked at his drawing. I wasn't interested at all, but I was looking at his drawing. I said something about this boy who loves to draw. And then he asked me whether I want to draw or not. He can teach me to draw in a way.
Okay.
But okay lah, I could join him, and then he hold my hand and then start holding my hand like that and ask me to draw. Fine, I just obliged. But the best part is, do you know what we drew at that time? He was drawing an umbrella, something like an umbrella, and then he was drawing like the umbrella was on the ground, and there's 2 stones. And I said, what is this? He said, his mother's grave. His mother's grave. So I was shocked. I said, why? So because his mother passed away, and he misses his mother so much. And then I said, wow, with a simple drawing like that, it can reflect some sadness and sorrow and remorse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A simple drawing like that can affect a person. Not only him, I can feel the sadness in that umbrella and the simple drawing like that. I said, wow. So ever since that, I started to realize the image, the drawing is so important that it can reflect the feeling, the emotion. It doesn't have to be hard drawing. It doesn't have to be a realistic drawing. A simple drawing like that can affect a person so greatly. So I said, yeah, this is something else. So I take drawing seriously until now. That's how I look at how drawing, how images, making images has great impact in people's life, in our life. And I start to draw. I've been drawing ever since.
So you see the person.
I can say that he's the one who inspired me. Not so much influenced, but inspired me.
Do you have a special style in your artwork?
Style depend very much on what you're trying to say in your artwork. If you want to say something beautiful, something nice, your style has to change. Something beautiful and nice. But if you want to say something tragic, something that has a negative impact, probably something that's sad, your style change. And so you cannot stick to one style, and because your art is telling a story. And you make art, you make painting, you make photograph, all about telling a story, telling people the story. So the story changes every now and then. Sad story, fun story, good story. So style changes. So if I want to paint something sad, or some political comment, something you criticize something bad, of course you have to change the style into a that suit that story. If I want to paint something nice and beautiful and serene, I have to paint beautiful landscape, for instance, beautiful colors, colorful images. But if the story is different, dark story or something about I don't know, about mythology, about spiritual, about mystic thing, of course I'm using different color scheme, dark, black. So the style changes. So back to the question just now, do I have a specific style? I do, but it relies on what kind of story you want to tell.
Do you change style very often, or you only stick to one style?
Yeah, style depend on the style depend on story you want to tell. But I'll keep changing from one style to another style to another style. So my recent one was very much into fabric. I use fabric a lot. But before this was black and white. Black and white charcoal drawing. Because I think my style is having many styles. From one style to another style to another style to another style. I cannot stay put. I cannot stick to one style. But that's just a method of working. Some artists stick to one style for so long, for years, they don't want to change. It's fine, nothing's wrong with that. Just a matter of choice. Artists choose to move from one style to another, or they just choose to stick to one style.
Can you tell us a little bit about your most recent series, Pink
Not only something you see, something you want to tell. Like I said just now, it's all storytelling. Making painting or making art, it's all about storytelling, about sharing your ideas, sharing your experience. But Bingkai Blanca is slightly different because not only you tell a story of your own, but you invite other people to tell their own story as well. For instance, when I put the painting there, and you look at the painting, without knowing anything about the painting, you try to relate yourself with the images. And you look at this, for instance, you look at this beetle here, and of course I have a story about this painting. But when you look at it, when people look at it, say, oh, I remember that when I was small, I used to play with that. So you create your own story. So not only artists have a story, the viewer who see it also can relate and create their own story. That's an interesting thing. So this is what Bingkai Blanca is all about. I have a story, but audience also have a story, and you are free to create your own story based on the visual clue. This is a clue, and this is like a hint, a clue. I'll give you a clue, and you say, oh, I remember that. When I was small, I remember playing with that thing. So you start to create your own story.
So that's the way you interact with your...
That's how the way we interact with the audience. Interesting thing too. Because when sometimes you see the artwork, you become reserved. Oh, I don't understand what the artist is trying to say. So you just walk away. You don't want to get involved. But in this one, I would encourage you to look at it and start to relate to your history or to your visual experience that you had before. So this is a bit interesting story. That one also considers style sometimes.
Tell us about the story behind your artwork, Duri di Rebound.
Interesting story. The man who was holding that durian, actually, he's a good friend of mine. He came to the studio to visit me. That was his first time in my studio. And then when he came to the studio, of course, as a good friend, I sent a few pictures of him, sitting on my chair, looking at some of the book in my studio. And then when he left, I said, to commemorate that visit, I said, I want to paint this man visiting my studio. So that's it. It's like a story, when you snap a picture of a wedding, you want to store it as a memory, right? You want to keep it with yourself, or an image of somebody's birthday party you went to. So you want to keep as a memory. So that's what I did with this man. He's a good friend of mine. The first time he came to the studio, so I take a picture and I said, I want to preserve this moment. So I paint him sitting on the chair. But he didn't know about this.
And the durian?
That's an interesting thing. And this friend of mine, he's a very good friend. He's a nice man. He has a big heart. He's a very kind person. And he's very rich. He's a very rich man because he's a collector. Not only a friend, he's a collector. He buys painting. And not only painting, he buys specific painting from the famous artist. And this man is a businessman as well, and to me, he's a very successful businessman. Have you heard the word durian runtuh in Malay?
Yes.
Yeah? Durian runtuh is like you have a big fortune. You see that?
Yeah.
You have a big fortune. So he has a huge fortune. I said, how should I interpret his big fortune in a very interesting and cunning and fun way? I don't want to pay money, right? Just to direct. So I paint a big, huge durian. I love durian. And then when I called him, and when first time he saw that painting, he said, "How do you know I love durian?" I didn't know he loved durian. And that's beside the point. I didn't even know he liked durian. How do you know I like durian? I said, "No, I don't know you like durian, but I like the idea of durian runtuh. You have a good fortune." But on the other side of it, the interesting thing about the painting, when you give meaning to the painting, you always encourage different meaning as well. Not only one meaning, different other meaning as well. So it can be a durian runtuh, or it can be a how do you feel when there's a duri on your river? Pain, right? Pain and it's suffering, and he can see it that way too. Maybe he's suffering, he's have a pain to struggle before he get rich. It can be like that. So interpretation can be so many different interpretations. So when you look at the painting, he loved it so much, and he had to buy that painting. Because he loved it so much, and then also because that's his portrait in that painting.
You often put Chinese characters in your paintings. Why do you like to put in that element as a part of your
I like the idea of having a Chinese character. So something like a painting. When I put the word there, the Chinese word there, I don't even know what it means, but it looks interesting, it looks beautiful. It's sort of like you celebrate other people's culture at the same time without having to question what it means.
And then it really brings some curiosity.
Yeah.
I see the Chinese
That's
word
another
and it
thing.
matches so well.
Sometimes it matches, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's not an issue at all. But to have the, sometimes I put even in Arabic. I understand Arabic a bit, but some of my friends, they don't understand, and they ask me. But some of them don't even understand Arabic, but they look at the word.
It looks nice.
It looks like a pattern. It looks like an ornament. It looks like an arabesque, and it suggests some history. And I have one painting where I put a carpet. This is something like a Chinese character just now. This carpet actually is a scarf. Came all the way from Turkey. So when you look at it, automatically you know this is like an Islamic ornament, like Ottoman history. Or it reminds you a little bit of Arabian Night. So this is an interesting element when you talk about the Muslim culture. So sometimes you introduce other culture in your work in the form of pattern, in the form of text, in the form of character, Chinese character, just to introduce, just to collaborate different cultures, which make your painting richer and richer.
Can you explain the meaning behind your halal painting back in 2007?
This painting was done in 2007. A man with an animal, with a cow or the bull at the background, and with the Chinese character. And it's like a part of the animal is like the body part is being indicated through a diagram, right? Okay. It was done when I came back from Beijing. I was in Beijing. And I started to relate to this story. I was in Beijing in 2007. And the first thing I got there, the first thing that struck me was there's so many Chinese everywhere. And all the sign was in Mandarin, not even in the Roman character. All to this Chinese. Even the taxi driver, the airport. So when I stepped out of the Beijing airport, I got suffocated. You feel like trapped, you don't know what to do because all Chinese and you don't understand. Not many people speak English probably. And then that you feel suffocated. You feel like trapped. And then I went to the hotel, tried to get myself familiar, and I walk on the street. Now the worst part is when you're hungry, when you eat. And you worry about this halal food, there's some halal food and some not halal food. And how can you tell whether it's halal food or not? Because of the character. So I went to this restaurant, I asked around, people said, there's a lot of halal restaurants you can go. And I went to this particular halal restaurant. And then there's not even a single halal word there. Oh, this is Chinese, right? You don't see halal logo on the wall, like on the door, like what we have here. And then I look at it, and then people from inside, because they're all Chinese. Chinese is just a physical character. Some of them Muslim, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's why I don't know. So we have this stereotype idea. Anything written in Chinese, meaning you cannot eat. We have that stereotype idea. Even now, when my mom, when you look at Chinese character, oh, you cannot eat that. Because we didn't realize that in China, when you go to the mosque, all Chinese characters, some are mosque, just a language. So that stereotype was depicted in my work here actually. When I went to that restaurant, there's a big image of a cow with a diagram saying that this is a peha, this is a, like you go to supermarket, you have that, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's written like that, I say I cannot eat a cow because it's written in Chinese character. It's probably not halal, probably. So that's the idea people have about culture. They use stereotype the idea, but actually this is all. Actually, it says just the cow part, the ekor, the kepala, the kaki, like the meat, like body part. But that alone stop you from eating. It's sort of like block you from letting yourself being comfortable eating that because of the character. So that's a stereotype thing. That's why I put a Malay man with a kain in front of here to see how two culture can be easily stereotyped. So it's not true. You have to know culture even more. Don't take things like don't generalize things. So it's about stereotype about culture that this painting is very much about. So telling a story is another thing, but sometimes you sort of ask a question. A painting like this asks a question. A painting like this sometimes challenge the stereotype. A painting like this sometimes challenge or probably give another opinion. That's the interesting thing about creating the painting. So if you ask me why this image here, like overlapping, so probably it symbolizes how culture has been blocked or overlapped or misinterpret. You can use that as a sign or as a symbol. Like this one, I don't even know what it means. Now you know. Did you know what it means?
Of course I know.
After I made this painting, I asked a friend, my Chinese friend, what it means. Oh, it means something to do with, can you read? Mirror shop. Because I got this from a signboard from a glass shop. Not me, I didn't get this. My wife got this when she went to Hong Kong. She take pictures. I came back and said, I want some Chinese character. So I saw that from her photograph. And I put it there. And it's interesting enough, it says about reflection, about the mirror. And I happen to paint myself with the devils. So it's a reflect. Sometimes you have good and bad, evil and good in yourself, It goes well with the title. So that's the best part. That's the mystery part when you make a painting. Sometimes make it more interesting, the story.
Do you get new inspiration when you travel overseas for a holiday?
Travel overseas, it's not so much of looking for ideas or inspiration, just for a holiday, just to enjoy the trip. It's not, you don't have a purpose to go there to look for ideas. It's bad. Otherwise you'll be working. You forgot about your holiday. But when you come back, you want that memory again. That's why you look at the images again. That's why you start to create the idea. You want that memory again. You want to keep that memory. That's why when you go overseas, after you came back, you look at your magazine, your photo again, right? Oh, I remember this when I was. So you bring back the memory. And in my case, I look at that again. I want to make a painting. So I create a memory from the photograph from the past, and you remember that memory, but you want to sort of materialize it, make it physical. You can see. But this is more than a photograph because you can add up so many things, and you can create stories. You can overlap it with different stories. That's how painting is more interesting than taking photograph. Back to your question, ideas come not when you visit. Ideas come when you come back and you want to recall. That's the word. Recall, or you want to reflect the past. That's why you create the idea.
Sometimes we as designers often get art block when we were trying to design something. How do you overcome that
I
block?
sweep the studio floor. I listen to the song. It's not so much of a block. Sometimes you don't feel like working. But in my case, I want to be in the studio because it's everyday thing you do. As an artist, you have to be in the studio. So sometimes when you don't have anything to do, you don't feel like painting, you do something that's not really creative, like sweeping the floor, as I say, or arranging my color again. But you have to be in the studio. I think I have to be in the studio to to sort of warm up the whole thing. Otherwise, if you don't visit a studio, in a Malay, it's a place, in a Malay custom, a Malay tradition, if you leave a place for 4 days without visiting, something will take over the place. You feel like a stranger when you come back. That's a Malay belief. So if I leave my studio, I don't come to the studio for 4 days, the 5th day I come and open the studio, it feels strange. Because the studio don't want to talk to you anymore. When you leave the studio for so long. And according to the custom, maybe mythological belief or Malay, some other being will occupy your studio. That's why you feel like a stranger. It takes time to warm up the place again. So it's not so much a mental block, but you be there just to, because artists feel studio is alive, very much alive. If you don't believe me, you go to my studio, you see the wall. Whatever I paint, it's always marked on the wall, splash of color on the wall, and then so the wall has a history. If you look at the wall again, sometimes my 5 years ago, my work 5 years ago, the mark's still there. Even my title of the show 10 years ago, sometimes I scribble on the wall, it's still there. So when you look at the studio wall, it's a dialogue. I've been talking to you about your past history. So it's alive, it's very much alive. If I paint something colourful, like I said just now, some of the colours splash all over the wall. If I look at that red colour, I remember that time when I paint about something beautiful. When I paint something black and dark, it's always on the wall, so the splash, the floor, the mark of that darkness always on the floor. So it reminds you of the history. It's like a written history, but in a visual form. So it's interesting, that's why I say studio is very much alive, talking to you in the secret language, in the art language or mystical language, you can say.
As an art lecturer yourself, do you get inspired by your students?
Students are like yourself, you're all young and you have so much idea, so energetic. Sometimes I don't have that anymore. Maybe I have, but lesser. I wish I was young like you guys. You have so much curiosity. As you get older, you know things already. You were so energetic, you were so aggressive, you want to know so many things. And that's why I learn from my students now. So I inspire them in other way. I inspire them as an artist. They look at you, they look at your show, they look at your success, and they want to be like you. So we inspire each other.
How do you balance your role as a father, a lecturer, and also an artist?
I don't teach every day. I teach like 3 times a week. But when I teach, it's like the whole day. And we don't really teach. I was like in the studio, visit the work, and talk about the work. Because I'm teaching not a student. I don't call them student. They are the young artists. But they're in the master program. What we did was we discussed about the work. And then 3 times a week is not bad for me. And then the rest I'll be in the studio, like I said. So, and then Saturday, Sunday is my McDonald's day, and birthday parties, a family thing, a father thing. So teachers, artists, and father all combined into one. That made me one hell of a busy man.
Among all the paintings you have done so far, which one is the most interesting one?
Every first work is an interesting work. Every first work. I say I have different series. The first one is always interesting because the first one is important because the first one will give birth to the rest. So if you get the right first one, it's easy. And I always keep the first one for myself.
Do you still remember selling your first
I remember sold my first work. It was when I was in college. Who bought my painting? My teacher. So nothing's more honorable than your teacher buy your own work. And it was Mr. Chung, I think, Chung Kam Kao, a Chinese lecturer. I have a high regard on him. And he teach me a lot about making painting. And he bought my painting. So that's the most honorable feeling, when the teacher appreciate your work and he bought my work for 230 ringgit.
So from the time onward you start making painting and
Well, yes, from that onward I start to take painting seriously. I know people like your work, people appreciate your work. Not only people, your teacher appreciate your work. It shows that some recognition there.
How do you make your style of art being accepted to the public eye, and how do you break into the international?
To make your work to be accepted is very hard. And artists don't do that. The artist is very bad. I'm sorry to say, artist is a bad businessman. a bad promoter, a bad in dealing with people. That's why they have agent. Not only agent, they have gallery to represent them. So the gallery will arrange for overseas meetings, for promotional, for marketing, they will arrange. So in my case, I was with Valentine Willy Fine Art in Bangsa. They're very professional. All artist does is to paint in the studio. They will arrange everything. Having international linkage, like Munira asked me just now, is relies so much on the professionalism of the gallery. So if you have good gallery who represent you and they're very international, then you get a good access to the international market or international exposure. That one is sometimes different. Sometimes when I have my show 2 years ago in New York, it has nothing to do with my local gallery. A dealer from New York gave me a call. One day I got a phone call from somebody called himself Tyler. He said, Jai, my name is Tyler Rolling, I'm from New York. I like your work, I want to put out your work in the show. So, of course I tak percaya kan, how will you get my name because he's from New York. But people knows you sometimes. People knows you, people in the art scene. Because Tyler Rolling Fine Art in New York, they specialize in Southeast Asian art. Even though he's in New York, but his artists all come from Southeast Asia. And Malaysia they don't have yet. That's what they so he's been doing some research probably. Who's in the Malaysian art. And probably he got my name and he called me. And then he came to KL, we meet up 2 times. He came to studio, look at the artwork, and then we cracked a deal. And I put up a show in New York, solo show in New York.